Yo everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's going to be a great day and happy new month to everyone listening. So now this week we're going to look like 4 PS what we're expecting for this coming week and this new month. So let's go straight to the chart. So the first pair for today is GBPJPY. Now firstly, we can do a recap of what happened last week. I think price come to this bearish engulfing candles like twice. This is the first touch, second touch, and we see a down movement to that side, which is the end of a month. So, and we are not going to say much about that. On the daily, we see a movement from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and reversal of the week on Thursday, Friday, which it fails to admit on this, but it respects the weekly bearish engulfing candle. So we are currently at this point now. So which is a great thing that we look after. Now let's jump down to what we're expecting for this week and this new month. So we'll start from the monthly basis. And before I even do that, we have to remember this is the last month for the quarterly basis. Like this is the last month of the second quarter of the year. So we're going to be paying much attention to that. And looking at this point, we've been seeing a lot of rejection, rejection, rejection. We have seen a lot of weakness here and here also. So now that brought me to print out this point here. We print out this point here. This is the old eye, and this is the current eye that we have right now. So at this point here, at this junction here, what we are looking for is what is price doing at this present point here. Okay, so let's go back to weekly basis, top down analysis. We're doing top down analysis now. Here we see a lot of sideways movement, and on a weekly basis, looking at this point on a weekly basis, we're looking for this low to be broken because price have created double top here, and price have rejected the bearish engulfing candle here like twice. And looking at this point here, so we also have a gap here that we're expecting price to respect on the long run here. So now let's move down to a daily candle. There's no much confluence on a weekly candle. Now on a daily candle, if you check on a daily candle, we've creating another swing high here, which fails to break this point. So we're expecting price to break this liquidity that is here. There's a tons of liquidity here coming to this point for the next week. So our analysis for the next week is within this region. Why did I say within this region? If you check our 4 hours candle, 4 hours is trying to create something like an head and shoulder pattern for us. Head and shoulder pattern in the form of this is a shoulder, then we form head, then we're looking for another shoulder to be formed around this point, then we see a break to the downside. So our movement is just something like this, then to this gap. So next week on GDP JPY, we're looking for a sell. We're looking for a sell. So our chart, our sales scenario will happen on Monday or Tuesdays. So if we see a gap up on Monday, then we'll be looking for a chart pattern to sell, a double top in a lower time frame, or a bearish engulfing candles, or we can look for another head and shoulder printing, or we can look for another channel forming. So bearish channel forming, or we can look for a triangle. Just find the chart pattern at this region for sell. That is for GBPUSD. And where are we looking to take out to exit from? We are planning our target is at this point to exit. So assuming we see a chart pattern at this point, and we are looking for a sell, and stop loss will be above this, and we're looking for a sell to this region here. So which is a great trade to take. But sometimes if you have a perfect entry, your stop loss might not be up to that. Your stop loss might be somewhere around there, and we're good to go. All right, that's it for GBP and our next one is sorry, that's it for GBPJPY. Sorry, and our next one is USDJPY. So what are we expecting on USDJPY? And looking at it, USDJPY and GBPJPY mostly have the same move. And looking at the 4 hours chart here, we've already formed an head and shoulder pattern. Looking at this point, this is the neckline. This is the neckline. We have a shoulder here. We have a shoulder here, a head here, and we have another shoulder here. This is like an head and shoulder pattern. So we are looking for a price movement at this region to the downside, according to how it forms in GBPUSD, JPY. Sorry. Now let's do a top-down analysis for that before we conclude on that. Looking at the 3-month candle, a month candle. On the monthly candle, we've seen a retracement and a rejection coming down to this point. And looking at this region here, we have liquidity here that this price is running to. We have liquidity to be taken off here also. That's the second confluence, and that's it for it. We have double liquidity, and looking at it here also, we already form an head and shoulder pattern in a monthly basis. So we have a head and we have the second shoulder here, and always remember we have the neckline forming at this point. So if I go to my 9 chart, we have a neckline forming at this point here. So we have a neckline at this region. So yeah, this is our neckline forming at this point. So looking at this region here that we have here also, now let's go back to a weekly candle. What are we doing since the last week? So we see a quick rejection from this bearish order block here. Then we see a down movement. Last week was a retracement, and which fails to fill this gap. There's a gap here. Price rejected at the gap, and if you step to a daily, you see price is trading to exactly, price was trading to the neckline and price fall from it. We've seen a rejection at this point. So what are we expecting for this coming week? Now looking at this point here, we're expecting price to come to a region here that we give us a confidence that okay, the price is coming down to the downside, or we might see a continuation to the downside. But before I conclude on that, let's go back to a month. So for a month candle to occur, I'm not saying if price is going to continue to the upside, we might first see a retracement downside and continuation to the upside. But looking at the price here, we might see a bit of manipulation. Just pay attention to that. We might see a bit of manipulation in price. So we might see something like this. Price might first retrace down, then go up to this level, this region, then we see a down movement. So we might be expecting that for the market, for GDP, for USDJPY. But to me, we're still on a downtrend. We're still on a downtrend. We might see a retest of this point, a retest of this gap here, then we'll continue down to the movement downside. So on the daily, yeah, on the daily we're still good. Prices at this region here, we're looking for a movement to this side, giving us a double top here, giving us a double top. Then we might see continuation to the downside. So here we are looking for something like a double top at this region. We're looking for a double top, then we move to the downside, clearing this liquidity here, then continue to the downside, clearing this liquidity. So now this is our expectation. Now where are we expecting to take the to get out of the market? So this is a liquidity here, and this is another liquidity on a daily basis. So now let's step down to a weekly basis. Let's see if we have any region that the price might eventually get to before it continues movement to the it continues movement. So let's look backward. So we've seen a lot of rejection here. At this point, we have a lot of rejection here, which is each give me a confidence as a strong resistant. So this point here is a strong resistant point from here to here, or we can mark from here to here, this last time candle. So we bring it forward. So looking at this point, price fails to bounce from it, come here, and it continue to the upside. So from there, we have never seen any retracement to this side for the meantime. Now, all we are looking for is like price should, to me, price is going to cause a confusion to some people. Like we have people are going to think this is a double bottom, yeah, and it looks like double bottom. Now price is going to continue to the upside, giving the confidence that I'm going up. Then you can see just see or continue to the downside. So don't fall for that manipulation. It's going to happen. It's going to show like price is moving up and in a lower time frame. But at the end of the day, we have already have our at the back of our mind what the what price is, what we're expecting price to do. So we're expecting price to do something at this region, come to this region, then go up, form a double top for here, then we see a continuation to the movement to this point, taking all this low here. And always remember this is a neckline. This is a neckline for this head and shoulder that's going to form here. It has already formed. So this is a neckline for this head and shoulder. So we might see a down retest of this head and shoulder, then continuation to the downside. So that is for USDJPY. And I've already said USDJPY have the same, even equal movement as GBPJPY. They move alike. So that's it for GBPUSD. Now the next one we have to go after for our analysis is EURAUD. Like last week we did an analysis on EURAUD, and we have to do a recap on that before proceeding to what we're expecting, our prediction for next week. So let me clear this. And last week candle, I was expecting a up candle last week. I said it if you watch my last video. I was expecting a up movement, uptrend. We were expecting to go for a long, and price respect it. This is a form of bullish engulfing candle, and we have a lot of like doji looking like Morningstar. Price reject this bullish engulfing candle. We see a rejection last week. It fails to like cover. We cover this gap. Then the last week was the one that was retracing. So what really happened last week? If we step down to a daily candle, looking at this point here that we're expecting price to continue. On Monday, we see continuation to the upside, and on Tuesday, let's step down to 4 hours. 4 hours is basically clear. So price is rejecting this point here, which serve as a strong support and resistance point. See, at this exact point, price rejected it, and at this point price touch it one time as a level of strong resistance, and that is what the price is doing at that point. But looking here now, we've already broken that point to the upside. We've already broken it to the upside. So what were we expecting for price to do? And here also we have another level of support turn resistance here. Why did I say this point is also strong? Looking at this point, we have support. But when it break it here we have a level of strong resistance here, and prices at that region. But now we won't care more about this because price have already broken it. And looking at this point also, we have given us something like an head and shoulder pattern at this point. This is an head and shoulder pattern. So price is coming to touch the neckline. Price is coming to touch the neckline, and we can see a spike to the upside. Now, if you're looking for where to go, because now we still have another strong support level here, which is going to be a resistance, but I think this point is not going to be strong. So for me to conclude on that, let's do a top-down analysis on a weekly, on a monthly basis. What have you been up to? On a monthly basis, we see this down candle, which is rejecting, and want to see continuation to the upside. So looking at monthly candle, I'm going to mark the 50% of this week out. I'm going to mark the 50% of this week. Now I already have the 50% of the week. Now let's step down to a weekly basis. This is the week we are looking for also. So here we have a strong point here. Now at this point, this is I'll consider this place as a strong point also, because we see a rejection there, we see a body close there, and this is a point, and at the top we have a gap there. So looking at this point, I'm considering this point for this weekly chart. So on the daily, what are we expecting on the daily? Now, as I've said it, I'm expecting price to come here to see a rejection again at this point. I'm looking for a rejection. Price should come down, a rejection, then we'll see a continuation to the upside. Coming to this point here, this is a bearish engulfing candle, but I will shift it to the 50% of it, of this auto block here. If I check on 4 hours, I'm looking for a confluence. What are we seeing on 4 hours that can make me to take my trade from it? Yeah, also we see another bearish engulfing candle forming on 4 hours, which is what I'll be looking for to take my trade, to take my profit from. But if price continue to the upside, I'm looking for this high to be broken, this double top to be broken, and take my profit at the 50% of this point. So then we can see continuation to the upside. On Euro AUD, we are looking for uptrend throughout the week, uptrend, and we might see a sideway. Now looking here, can I use the trend line? Let's see a trend line, if trend line is going to work. We've seen a rejection there. Let's put our trend line, and let's use our Fibonacci from swing low to swing high. I'm expecting price to come to the 50% or 0.6%, then continuation to the upside. So I'm going to blend both Fib, trend line together with it, and we see what the market is going to do to the upside. But main focus is from here to this point. And don't let us forget this strong support turning resistant level. So we can just put that at the back of our mind. But our major focus is this level here. This is our major focus for this coming week, and we are still looking for an uptrend. So we are looking for an uptrend. All we're going to just look for here is if price come to this level here, because price might eventually come to this gap here. This is a form of a gap, an imbalance. Now let's see a break in structure in a lower time frame at this region for us to take our buy. Maybe 5 minute shifting structure, then we'll go on an uptrend. So it's a new month, we might experience a gap, but we're still not scared of it. And let's jump to the next one. I think my next one, or my next analysis, would be on the EURJPY. Let's do that. Let's do EURJPY. I have a strong bias on EURJPY, which I'm not that interested in. Yes. Now let's see what we are going to expect on EURJPY. A monthly top-down analysis from the month. Now we're expecting a new month. We are in a new month. So looking at this new month, we have a sweet setup here. this is a form of a continuation to the upside, looking at this region to take our profit from. And we have a level of liquidity here. Liquidity is resting above this point, and liquidity is resting above this point. And if you see it as weak above it, and body close this last candle, and it even body close this one. So I'm going to mark the 50% of this body. I will look for that other block, 50% of this body, for price to retrace to. Then we might see a continuation to the upside. So now we have a week. Now checking the weekly candle, it has already given me a bullish engulfing candle at this point, which is a strong confluence here. So we see a rejection here, rejection one. We see this one. This rejection should have given us a continuation to the downside. Hadn't been this last candle, this last week candle was a downside, I might be looking for a continuation to the downside to take this liquidity away here. But now we've seen this here that is happening. What I'm expecting is like price should just come here and take all this liquidity away, because but this is a weekly candle. But on this month analysis, I'm looking for an uptrend on EURJPY. EURJPY is an uptrend for me if it doesn't follow the analysis with USDJPY, because sometimes they have uh, strong correlation also. It's move how USDJPY move. But to me, my own analysis, EURJPY, we've seen an uptrend. That's why I'm saying I have a strong bias on it, because USDJPY is giving me a downtrend, while EURJPY is trying to give me uptrend. But we're still going to follow the bias also. So on a daily on a daily candle, yeah, actually, we've seen a rejection here, but the body is still body closing this one. So I'm looking for another down movement to a region here, yeah, I'm looking for another analysis, down movement to this fair value gap that is here. From this fair value gap, first target here, my first target is at this point. This is the first target, and my second target is here also. Here I'm looking for this point, because this is also a strong point, or this point. For this coming week, I'm looking for movement in EURJPY from this point to this region. First TP here, and second TP we might be looking at above this region, taking off this liquidity point. So why did I have that? Let's back it up with a trend line or support or anything, or Fibonacci. So looking at this point here, this shows me a minor head and shoulder here. This is shoulder, head, shoulder. This is like a minor head and shoulder. And looking at this point, this is another shoulder. Maybe we are going to come here to form another shoulder. So that's why sometimes I might mark this point, the 50% of this down candle here. So I just use my mind to mark it out. So we've seen a rejection here. We might also look for a rejection at this point, a down movement, then a continuation to the upside. So this is what I'm expecting for this coming week. I'm expecting EURJPY, if there's a gap down, so I'm expecting something like this. It might not get here or around this point. I'm looking for an uptrend to this point, take my first TP, and after that we're looking at this region for the final TP for the week. So we're expecting liquidity sweep here, over here. We're expecting liquidity sweep. So if I said I want to use my trend line, so first, second, third, so we've seen a rejection at this point. So I'm looking for a downside to break this. After it broke this, I'm coming to this level, then see what the price is going to do at this region, then we can continue to the upside. So this is not a sweet one for me. I might not be considering this. but at the end of the day, I'm looking for an uptrend on EURJPY. If it doesn't follow USDJPY, I'm looking for an uptrend for this pair, and this coming this coming week, we're looking for an uptrend. So the last for this week, the last analysis we're going to do together for this coming week is going to be GBPUSD. GBPUSD. I love the pair. It sometimes move quite well. So let me clear the chart because I'm already doing the analysis already. So for proper understanding, let's clear the chart. Let me remove the chart. Okay, now a weekly candle. Let's go to a monthly candle because everything we're doing now, we started for a month. So now this month our body closed this eye here. We have an old eye, which price our body close it. So which is giving us a continuation to the upside. So now we are looking for a rejection at this point. Old eye, we are looking for a rejection, then continuation to the upside. Then where are we going to take the trade from? So we're going to look at the point where price have already created a strong support on resistant or resistant on support. So now let's move to a weekly candle because we're dealing with the week. We are not expecting too much for the month already. We just started the month. So looking here, we have a rejection at this point, which price are irrespected, and rejection at this point here. Now, where's the next rejection that we'll be looking for if price tend to continue to the upside? Looking at this area, we have a level of support, and when price break below it, we have a level of resistance, which is a strong point or strong confidence for me. So I'll mark this point out and watch out for it. So I mark this point out. I'm watching out for it. So now let's step down. Let's see what the price is going to do. And this is an old high. So we're expecting price to bounce away from it and continue to the upside. So we might not see a massive movement this week, but our expectation for this week and coming month, this month is still a minor continuation to the upside. So on a daily basis, we've created this low that is forming here. Now we're looking for this old high for price to get to, and at the back of our mind also we have this rejection here also. So we're looking at this region to take our market from. So let's check 4 hours. Sometimes once it's not clear on a daily, we might actually step to 4 hours. So looking at 4 hours, at 4 hours we see a level of a demand zone here. This is at this point this last day candle, and price continue to the upside, which creates the sweep in this liquidity here. So and if we check our swing high to swing low and swing high to swing low using Fibonacci, we have our swing low to swing high here. Then we expecting price to play more at the 50%. We're expecting continuation to the 50% region. Then we might see, well, in this coming week, we won't be expecting a massive move in GDP USD because of the chart pattern that was giving us. So we saw this, and we're expecting a market movement within this high to this low. We're expecting a market movement at this region. I'll mark this point out because it's always crucial for me. Anytime I see this in the market, I always mark it out. This is auto block. Okay, now I'm expecting from this region back to this region. So our expectation for USD GDP USD is just within this region. I'm expecting price to trade within this region for this coming week. So, and if you're getting one or two things on this chat, you might put in a like or tell someone to tell someone to watch along with you and you gain more knowledge. And if you have something you want to ask, you can please comment on the comment section and I will respond to it immediately. And if you have any question, you can ask me directly on the comment section and I will be glad to answer you. Do have a lovely week and God bless.